Hi everyone, welcome to this video. Aaron here, and today we are going to create this cool section here, metric section for WordPress by using Bricks Builder. You can check in the description of this video more info about my setup. So let's start right away. First of all, let's go on our website. I would go on section, select this section here, and I would click on plus button, add a div, and then open up the structure, click on the div. With the div selected, I would go and click on plus button, and I would add another div, and this div I would call it icon wrapper. With icon wrapper selected, plus button, search for icon, click on icon, and then let me stop my phone, and then let's go and click on the icon, of course, and choose the icon you want. I would go with WordPress brand, okay, like this. And then you can basically give him also a sizing like 2em, 1em, 1.5em, whatever you want. I would change the color to something a little bit nicer, like I would use my action color. And then after that, you can also add a link if you want, but in my case, I won't do that. So now we need to click on icon wrapper and style the icon wrapper. Of course, you need to add a class if you want to reuse this to the whole site. For now, I will do it very quickly. So with icon wrapper selected, I would go then on style, layout, padding, and I would say like 1.5 or 0.5 maybe em. Okay, and then I would click this twice. Now we have our padding set it up, and width, I would say 3em as a width, and height 3em too. And then of course we need to go on content, make sure display it's flex, and then I would say center, center, and center to make sure everything is centered correctly. And then I will go on style, and let me find border, click on border, and here you can add, the radius value. I would use AutomaticCSS and use circle and just click twice, and now we have a perfect circle. And of course on background we can choose a color for the background, and I would go with let's say an action color, but very with an opacity, lower opacity, and as you can see now you set it up correctly. And okay, so we did our icon wrapper. Of course, it's easier if you export from the design the whole icon. In this way, you wouldn't need to go through all this setting. Anyway, now click again on div. With div selected, I would rename the div in this case because it's very confusing. Would be div like content wrapper maybe, or title wrapper, whatever you want. And with the content wrapper selected, I would go on plus button and just add a heading. Okay, and now we have our heading here. If you check the design, we can go and copy this text and paste it here. Go on content, paste this text, and then we have also this text here. So I would go here, and after heading, I would plus button and just say basic text, and you can replace the basic text in this way. The only thing I want to do is that I don't want the basic text inside of the content wrapper because I want a different spacing for it. So you can just drag and drop it outside of it. And if you close content wrapper, as you can see, basic text is outside. And now with container selected, I can say align cross axis, okay, in this way. And then I would also say row gap. You can right click or add your type or your spacing, sorry. And I would go and choose, let's say, XS, for example. And then we have the different spacing. Let's see what's going on here. So on content wrapper, click on content wrapper here, and just make sure everything is centered. It's not working, so just remove this, go on flex, make it vertical, and now you can align everything to the center, and as you can see now everything is aligned correctly. Also this text here I highly suggest to style and center it to make sure it's always centered. Do the same thing for this text here, always centered. And we done this. If you want to change the spacing between these two elements, of course you need to click on content wrapper, content, and just say row gap, and you can add your row gap to those two elements. I will leave it like that because I like them to be closer to each other. Then if I get to the design, okay, so there is a little spacing. There is another container here, so I would close this, click on section, plus button, and then choose another container. So he added a container outside of the section. Just drag and drop it inside of it, and now we have those two containers on the same level. So this second container, we can call it matrix container. With the matrix container selected, I will go and display grid and say grid template columns. You can use FR if you want in this way, like 4 times if you want. In my case, I would use AutomaticCSS. Right click and say for, and then you can also add a gap if you want, but let's do that later. So we have the counter here, a little title, and a link. So matrix container selected, plus button, choose block, and then open it up. Block, we call it matrix single. Oops. Yeah, matrix single is enough. With matrix single, I want to add card also because it's better. Matrix single card, you can click on it and just start adding the elements, like counter is the first thing, and then you can add the heading, and I would call this metric heading. Okay, just make sure you name that correctly. And then we have a link, right? So plus button, and there is an option called text link. Okay, so we have the text link too. Let's style this very quickly. So counter, I would go on style, typography, font size, right click, you can say XXL in this case, and then say font weight, and you make it bolder. Of course, in the design we have these plus buttons. If you click on here, let me check the weight. The weight is too much, so let me go here on style and say 600. It's okay. You can style it however you want. And the prefix or the suffix will be plus in this case. Okay. So now he will be adding a plus button, a plus sign. So project completed. Okay, we rename this with project completed. And then, of course, we go on style, and then, font size. I would change this to something smaller, like the M would be great. The text link here, text link. Let me see, view project is small. It's okay. You can style it. I would just add an icon like this, like that, and choose the arrow here if I find it. Yeah, here is the arrow. Okay, and the arrow, you can put it position to the right, and here you go. You can style it however you want. I would just copy the text and paste it in. Okay, perfect. So now we have those elements in the matrix single card. I want the counter and the matrix heading to be close to each other. So right click on the counter, wrap into, and select this little icon div, and now we have metric wrapper. You open the metric wrapper, and metric heading will be going inside of it. And now with metric single card, you can click on it and just add a row gap here. Okay, so that you would add a row gap. If you want to reuse this element, I forgot to say that you need to click on BAM. If you click on BAM, now it creates the classes. I would say 1 or maybe 2, because I think I made once this class, and apply. And now everything have a class, and you can style it. We style it already, but it's not an issue. You can reset that. So with metric single card, now with all their own classes, we can basically click on the card, click on the class, and with the class selected, we can add some padding, right? So you go on style, layout, padding. I would go right click and say XS and click this twice. Okay, and as you can see, we have our card. And then on border, and border here, click on it, style, solid, and on the left, I'm not sure how many pixel is this one, but looks like the stroke fill, where is it? It's 2 pixel. I would say 2 pixel left, solid, and I would change the color to the action color. And as you can see, we added our stroke. Of course, you can change if you want to 4, okay, to make it more visible. And yeah. So now we did this, and we just need to duplicate this card. Also, if you want to make sure everything is on the styling, like for example the counter, the metric, as now we have classes, let me show you this bonus tip. Basically, you click on the counter, you just go and make copy style, you go and remove this, and if you go on content, you can keep those, okay. And then as you can see, the style lost, but if you click here and you paste it to this class here, the class we are actually using, by clicking on paste style, as you can see now it gets back and you have it into your style, your class. It's a little bit complex to understand, but you will get it watching few tutorials. So now I can close this. We have the styling set it up. Same thing to this one. As you can see, the styling, but it's not, if I click here, there is no styling. So again, click on metric heading, copy the style, and then remove all the styling, and click here and paste it here. And now he added it to our class. And the link, I think the link doesn't have any style, it has an icon, but yeah, you can keep it like this. There is no reason of clicking. If you click, as you can see, this is still showing because it's not a style, it's, you know, keeping the setting in that way. Okay, so now that we've done that, oh, we have a problem here for this one. Let me see what's happening here. Metric heading completed. Okay, so basically I think we forgot to copy it. Let me do this again. Copy style. You remove the typography from here. Oh no, I know what happens. Let me go back, sorry. Basically, we did not remove, I think it was a glitch. Actually it was a glitch, so now it's working fine. Okay, so everything is set it up, perfect, and now we need to add the spacing, right? So you go on metrics here, and on metrics, you can add some spacing by going on content and make sure this class is activated, row gap, and I would go and, you know, you can add S, XS, whatever you want. Let's say XS, and now everything it's great. So let me check this. The coloring also of this should be another color. So click on this, activate this, and then go on style, typography, and change the color to an action color. And now we set it up. You can now duplicate this one. 1, 2, 3. Now everything is duplicated, and yeah, so we are good to go. Let's close this, go on section, with section selected, content, and here row gap, right click, and we can use container gap or whatever, or section gap. In this case would be better. And as you can see now, we have the structure correctly set it up, and yeah, so let's see if I go on responsive mode. Okay, so what happens here? Here, it's okay, it works, but here on mobile landscape, I would go and click on the metrics container and just change the grid template to 2 columns in this way, okay? And then on the mobile, you can keep it like that, but let's say you want it vertical, so with 1 column, you can keep it in this way. Also, if you want some spacing between the elements, okay, you can do that very quickly by going back on the desktop version. And here on the desktop version, for example, you need to click on metric container and on gap, right click and add a gap. Could be an M, could be an L. Okay, let's say I want a gap of L. Well, maybe it's too much. Let me say a gap of M. And then if I get here, as you can see, the gap still there. And if you get here now, everything is separated, as you can see. And then on mobile also is separated. But let's say that on mobile, you want this border to be on the top, okay, and separate them not by this item here, but a border on top. You can click on this, on the first one, make sure everything is activated, go on style and border, click on border, and on the left type 0, and on the top type 5. And then you click on solid, and then color in this way. And voila. And also, if you don't want the spacing on the mobile version only, go on matrix container, okay, and you can go on content and basically tell him that you don't want spacing. So gap, you can type 0, and everything is divided in this way. And if you go on the desktop version, nothing is changing. It's only for the mobile version. And as you can see, you can really play around with this. Cool. We learned something very, very cool, right? So let's say I don't want to zero gap. I don't really like it. So let's say I want some gap. And let's say you want some color on the background to make it a little bit better. Click on the matrix single card and then go on style, background. And here you can add a very light color like this. And look at this. We got a really cool, counter section. Okay, so you can play around with it, as you can see also on mobile, and everything works fine. I hope the tutorial was useful. If you want to help me up, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!